a lot of oxygen. Which is why a marathon runner gave a testimony once while standing in a similar presentation, and he said his performance in a marathon improved after drinking his water, but more importantly, his recovery after the marathon was like within 1 day. When previously it used to take 3 or 4 days to recover from a marathon. Marathon is very grueling, right? And my daughter who plays tennis finds that she gets a lot more energy when she drinks this water, because there's a lot more oxygen. It reduces the buildup of lactic acid. Okay? That's what happens, and it's very low cost. The machine to produce this water, it's very, very low cost. The amount of the consumption of electricity is very low. It's basically tap water, which is why if you have this machine, you are encouraged to give the water away freely, because it doesn't cost you much. But the impact you can have on some people's life is tremendous. Okay? There's performance. Okay, there's this lady called Dr. Corinne Allen, who's actually an expert on brain research. She's done more than 30 over years of brain and nutrition, and she treats a lot of autistic kids, autistic and special needs kids. She had this to say about this water. In the YouTube, you will find a almost 2-hour presentation where she gives a seminar and she talks about the importance of water on the brain function. The main argument being that the brain is more than 80% water, and if you feed it with the right amount of water and oxygen, the brain is able to send all the neural signals to every part of your body, and that's like the CPU, and therefore your body can then cure itself of any disease that it has. It's only when your brain's signals get short-circuited you have all these other problems that creep up. You will notice this when people get dehydrated, you suffer from something called heat stroke. People become delirious. It's because the brain doesn't have enough water. Okay? So this is what she says, that when she introduces Kangen water into her treatment for all these special needs kids, her therapeutic expectation always gets far exceeded by what they expect. And then she gave a bunch of testimony from people, from some of her customers. I mean, you can read all of this at the time. Those are kids with autism and Asperger's disease and stuff like that. Okay? It is good for human beings, it's also good for plants. Okay? We know that, because when we start pouring it into this is by Wendy's sister Agatha in a potted plant in a house in Singapore, in a potted plant. Have anyone ever seen a lady's finger which is that big? Have you ever seen? And this is in a potted plant, not because they added extra fertilizers. Just the waste water that you get, the acidic water, pour into the plant and you get that. Why? Because it's microclustered and it allows the plant to absorb a lot more nutrients from the soil. Okay? Another friend in Brunei fed his chicken, farm chicken, with this water. No difference in fodder, and you get this. After about 2 months of drinking Kangen water, the chicken lays an egg which is 1.5 times the size. Don't ask me how the egg came out of the chicken, but you know, must have been painful. But okay, anyway, so that's what happens. Because generally, the water allows your body to absorb a lot more of the nutrients. If it does that for you, it also does that for animals. Okay? You've got clean water, the type 2 water. Why do we need clean water? Not because Kangen water is bad, but because it is too effective. You saw what it did to the tea bag. So it will do the same thing to medicine and baby's infant formula, if it's microclustered, if it's ionized. So in order to let the medicine or the baby's infant formula work according to the way they were designed to work, they tell you don't take this with Kangen water, because otherwise it will go in and pull it up too fast. See, when the doctor prescribes a medicine and take it 3 or 4 times a day, he says that because the medicine is designed to release the drug into your system over a span of 6, 8 or 12 hours, whatever the frequency is. If you take it with Kangen water, it will pull it out too fast. Baby's infant formula also has got the same thing. So they say these are the 2 occasions when you don't drink Kangen water. In fact, you are advised half an hour before taking medicine and about half an hour after taking medicine, do not take Kangen water. After that, go on back to drinking your Kangen water. Okay? Beauty water is, a lot of ladies like this, because you put it in a small little bottle and spray it on your skin whenever you want. It has got a skin's pH of 5.5. It's got astringent properties and antiseptic properties. It actually tones your skin, so you don't have to spend money on toners. Yeah? And then you've got strong alkaline Kangen water, which is what I'm going to demonstrate in a short while. Okay? Why do we need this? because we don't want to introduce poison into our family. Okay? Into our family. See, what happens is this particular water, which is 11.5 in the pH scale, this is the only water when you produce it, they introduce something called an electrolytic enhancer. Okay, so in the internet you will find a lot of information condemning this. Actually, there's nothing to worry about. It's got something called sodium hypochlorite in a 0.01% concentration. It is not harmful at all. If it was, they wouldn't advise you to take the strong water and gargle, because the strong water has got acid water has got antiseptic properties. It kills germs. You use that to sterilize your whole house. You use that to gargle when you've got sore throat. You use that to treat wounds. Okay, which is why that guy that I told you in Japanese hospital where his foot got treated, they soak it with strong acid water. So just to demonstrate what it can do, I'm going to pour a bit of just 100% sesame oil. This is just nothing but 100% sesame oil into two glass. Yeah. This actually basically simulates the oil that you have in your food. Okay, this is the Kangen water which I'm going to put over here, and this is normal tap water. Okay. If I take water and pour into oil, this oil kind of like represents all the oil that you have in your food after you cook, right? Whatever it does, it goes into your system, it sticks to it. So just watch this, right? If I take water and I pour into it, what happens? Nothing, right? Oil floats, yeah, you're right. Yeah? Because the water can't do anything about it, it just gets separated. But watch what happens when I pour this 11.5 water into it. Just watch. Same oil, different effect. Yeah? What do you think happened? Anybody? It's breaking down. It's called emulsification. Yeah? Because the microclustering and the property of the water is able to go in and break down that oil. Now we use the 11.5 to demonstrate that. But when you periodically drink 9.5 alkaline water, that's what it does to your system. See, all our pipes, all our arteries get clogged up with all this stuff, and you've got high blood pressure, cholesterol and stuff like that. Which is why a lot of people, after prolonged drinking of this water, report back that their blood pressure has normalized, that their cholesterol has gone off, they've taken off cholesterol and blood pressure medication and all that. Even diabetic patients come back and tell us that the metformin that they were taking about 3,000 milligrams, they no longer take it anymore. I've got a testimony from an 83-year-old Australian woman whom I interviewed personally, and she said 23 years of taking metformin, 3,000 milligrams of metformin, she's no longer required to take it by the doctor. 3 months after drinking this water. Okay, so that's what happens. So because it is able to do this to oil, it is able to do what you are about to see here. And that's one of the strongest uses of this water. Which is why this machine is not just about drinking water, it's about changing your whole way in which you live your life. Okay? So watch this. Okay, this is tap water. Why do I have it that way? Because that's typically what you do. You go in the market, you buy these tomatoes. This just simulates any vegetable that you buy from the market, and then you come back and you pour water into it and you wash it. And you think it's clean. As expected, you'll have some amount of dirt in it, right? Alright? That's what it did. So, for good measure, I'm going to wash it again one more time, because you guys are going to be testing it afterwards. Okay? Same tomatoes, just slightly different water. Look at this. Soaked about the same time, right? I put everything together at the same time. My famous question again, one more time. Is there a difference? Is there a difference? What do you think is the difference? Anybody? Say again? More acidic? No, it's not. Yeah, it is more acidic in a way. Actually, it's chemicals, pesticides, yeah. Yeah, chemicals and pesticides. Why is that so? Because you see, the farmer sprays pesticides on the vegetable. He doesn't want to do the work again and again and again. So he wants to make sure that when rainwater will not wash it away. So he has got to make sure that it's waterproof. In other words, they are all oil-based. Big question is this, which we never asked before. If your tap water, if your rainwater cannot remove the pesticide, can your tap water do it? And we never knew about that. I want you to do this. If you don't mind, you can just save. This is tomatoes washed with Kangen water. Okay? Just take it, taste it, and you want?
I've tried before. Thanks.
Yeah, but you can still eat. You want to, you can still eat.
No, like that.
No? Okay. Okay. So get a sense of how it tastes. How the fruit tastes. Yeah? And then clear your mouth a bit and try this. This is how you normally would wash a vegetable and eat. And then, if you can, some people are not as sensitive, some people are. Yeah? If you can, just taste it. And then give me your feedback now. Tell me. What's the difference? Can you feel the difference? Or
Yeah.
what is that? Can you tell us?
A little bitter,
More refreshing.
more refreshing on the first side.
On the first one was more refreshing. Okay, what else is that?
I found it bitter.
You found which one?
The second one.
The second one was you found it bitter. Okay.
Bitter.
Yeah. So you're quite sensitive to that. Yeah. Yourself? You found it what?
Because the second one I took was more ripe, so I don't find bitterness.
Okay.
But the first one I took was very refreshing.
Very refreshing. It's an interesting word. Yeah. Now this water, because see what happened was the water, the strong alkaline water was able to remove the pesticide which the water cannot. So the second one I made you all eat it, but that's how you've been eating all your life until now anyway. So a little bit more won't harm. But it's pesticide. 16 years ago, I was told that there is the pesticide that's placed on this vegetable, trace amounts of it. When you continuously eat it, they become free radical, eventually they become cancerous. And that's the reason why cancer is so prevalent in modern society, because we end up eating these pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, call it whatever you want. If you take China vegetables and do this, the contrast is
I have
a lot,
tried other brands.
a lot bigger.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
Especially Kailan.
Especially Kailan, yeah. So, we have got now a way. 16 years ago, I was told of a biodegradable cleaner. Biodegradable, it's like soap. So when you wash a vegetable with that, if the soap is sticking to the vegetable, it's alright because it's biodegradable. That's one way in which to remove. But how many of you use such biodegradable cleaners to wash your vegetables or your fruits? We don't. And we've been poisoning ourselves a little bit at a time. Yeah, some of you do. I found out about 16 years ago. It's an expensive thing to go and buy and use. Today you have an option. Once you have this machine, you don't need any of those things. So let me ask you a question. It's simple. The question boils down to this. If I ask for a volunteer today, who would volunteer? I want someone to come and drink this. Would you do that? Would you drink it? You know this is all poison, right? It's so poisonous. My sister, once she soaked this with this, to her vegetable, and she thought, let's not waste the water, she poured it into a rose plant. Guess what happened?
Died.
The rose plant died. Yeah, because it took out all the poison, it's still microcluster, he injected it into the plant died. And she said, what happened? I said, of course not. Right? It's kind of crazy, right? Now, in your right frame of mind, you will never drink this. Am I right? Yeah? Then my question would be, then why would you continue eating this, right? Why would you continue eating
Don't
it,
waste
still
it.
eating it this way? You understand what I mean?
Sister, don't waste it. Wash tablecloth with it.
So,
The dirt will come out.
now you know. Before this you didn't know. Now you know. You've got an option. You're aware. You can make that decision whether you want to continue eating like this. What you have in your hands when you buy this machine is the ability to stop poisoning your family, your loved ones, your children, your parents, whoever they are. You know, because you have this power in your hand. It doesn't cost you much to produce all this different type of water and do all this thing. Okay? Which is what this water does. It's like soap, but without all the harmful effects of soap. Without the harmful effects of all this caustic soda and all that. This strong alkaline water can be used to clean your kitchen tabletop after cooking. It can be used to clean your windows and doors without having to use Windex or one of those Kiwi or whatever. Because once I took that window cleaner I went to clean the window and I sprayed. As I sprayed it, it bounced off the off the glass and it came back to me, and I knew how much it burned my lungs. Yeah? You don't have to do all of that because this water, without that effect, in fact, this water is so safe, you can use it as your makeup remover, and it will be good for your skin. Try it, because people have tried it. Yeah, they know. I've used this water and sprayed it on my eyes, the strong acid water. Nothing happens. It's environmentally friendly. It is children friendly. It is family friendly. So you have the ability when you buy this machine to stop introducing any form of poison into your family. It's not good enough just to continuously remove all the waste product from your system. You've got to stop putting more in. Make sense? Okay. Now, the strong alkaline water is used for cleaning. These are some of those slides showing you what it does. Yeah? Strong acidic water has got antiseptic properties. What you see on the left hand side is a man gargling because he's got sore throat. If you've got sore throat, if you've got tooth decay, gingivitis or whatever, you gargle with this, it will cure. You have mouth ulcers, you gargle 3 times with this, you wash it 3 times with this, it will cure. Okay? On the right side, they're treating wound. In the middle is somebody treating some athlete's foot. Right at the bottom is in a restaurant, they're washing fish. Okay? And then sterilizing your urinals and everything. In today's day and age where we are threatened by SARS and stuff like that, you carry this acidic water in a small little bottle. Every time before you press the lid, you spray on it. It'll kill. You go and eat sushi, you can spray on it before eating it. You go to a restaurant, you can spray on your hand and all the utensils and all that and eating it. You can do that if you want to. I know some of my colleagues do that now because they have the power. They have this water with them. You can very easily produce it and keep it. Yeah? In Japan, dentists use this. In fact, when they use this after a dental treatment and they get the patients to rinse it, the bleeding will stop. The bleeding will stop because this acidic water has got that property of healing, of immediately getting your blood to clot. These are some snapshots of people being treated for skin diseases in Japanese hospitals. Psoriasis and eczema. Okay? This is what you have. Now, when you think about this, to go from the picture on the left to the right, it only took them 2 weeks. Soaking in acidic water and drinking alkaline water. But when you consider the fact that that person the person has been suffering from this condition for almost a decade, and it only took 2 weeks to get it cleared, that's like a gift. Think of how people will appreciate it. That's exactly what happened to my friend. Okay? This was a picture of a baby from KL. This was sent to me early this year. The parents didn't know what to do, and fortunately they knew somebody who was a Kangen distributor. And for this baby, all they did was spray acidic water. They didn't make the baby drink alkaline water because babies naturally are alkaline. Did you all know that? The amniotic fluid in which the baby grows is actually alkaline. So that's what they did, and look at that. Now, if you are the parents of that baby, what is this water worth to you? Yeah. This is cases of people with acne. This is also from Malaysia. This guy is actually a Filipino. He's my upline Desmond's friend. Look at the date. Between January 26 to March 14. In January 26, when he came in, by Desmond's own words, he said when the fella came in, you just don't want to see him and touch him because it's full of psoriasis everywhere. It's so bad, things are flaking and there's those yellow things that you see, they're like pus all over his body. And all they had to do was spray acidic water 3 times daily before spraying beauty water to bring back the pH and drink the alkaline water. And of course they had to watch the diet because there are certain products, certain stuff that you eat which will create this problem too. But bulk of it was treated by this. And when you consider this man has been suffering for more than 8 years with this thing, trying all sorts of ectopic treatment with steroidal creams. How has his life changed? What do you think? This is his brother-in-law, his own family, who actually initially didn't believe in this thing at all, despite the fact that Desmond was a strong advocate of this. Until one of them did this, diabetic patient, right? Treated, soaking with acidic water. This is just after 4 weeks of really drinking the water, drinking about. People with problem must drink 3 to 5 liters of the water besides soaking like that. Okay? This is his sister-in-law. Seems to run a bit in the family sometimes. I don't know whether it's genetic or what. But she reacts to soap. So for 8 over years she had this problem. And let me tell you something about this sister-in-law. Her hand on the right hand side looks so moisturized, right? So nice, right? She doesn't put any moisturizer or anything. When I asked her how many times you sprayed it, she said, what spray? I just soak. She watches Chinese serial, she will put the hand in there and soak for 30 minutes or 40 minutes because she was desperate to get cured.
Soak in the acid water.
Soak in the acid water, yeah. Don't just spray because the longer you soak it, the better. It kills off all the bacteria and everything. And that's how the hand looks now. And let me tell you a secret, she's about 65 years old. And if you touch, a friend of mine was in that shop and I told him touch her hand and see, touch. And he said, what do you put? Your skin is like baby skin. Very soft. How many of you would like to have that kind of skin? Huh? Okay, I don't want to touch about that because it's a Canadian distributor, not close enough. These are all overseas testimonials. This guy I know because I met him personally. Okay, this is the power of the strong acidic water. They call him Iron Head. He's a Kangen water distributor. He was in a presentation in a house. At night they presented. After they presented, they stepped out of the house. He was with a lady friend waiting for another friend to bring the car around. 2 thugs came in a motorbike, tried to snatch the handbag of the lady. This guy interfered. The motorbike fell down and he tried to go and wrestle with the guy. Next thing he knew, he had a chop on the hand, chop on another hand. And the third time when he went in for it, he had a chop on the head. That's a parang. That's his head, that's not a softball. Okay, that's his head. He had a chop on the head and then the crooks ran away. Because they had just come up from a Kangen water presentation and we know about what the strong acid water does. They went back into the house and poured strong acid water onto his head and immediately the blood clot. Otherwise he would have died. Because when they called for the ambulance, it took 1.5 hours for the ambulance to come. This is in KL. So he was just sitting there in the living room and the thing had clotted. And because they poured the strong acid water and the acid water kills bacteria, there was no infection. Because you don't know what kind of parang the guys use to chop anything. And the ambulance, the attendants and all that, they were kind of surprised. How do you all manage to get it clogged? And that's his head. Within less than about a month, because it healed with very little scarring on the right hand side. That is the man standing there and talking. I don't know whose life you might save if you have this machine at home. But I've tried it because if you get a cut or something, just soak it in the strong acid water, it will close up. Okay, so that's what it does. 2.5. Strong acid water. Okay? There's a lot of literature out there in the net which says, oh, it has got sodium hypochlorite, it's poisonous, this, that, and everything. But this is what that water does. This is the only strong acid, strong alkaline water which has got this electrolytic enhancer. Okay? And yet they say you can take this water and gargle. This is what you get if you have this machine, if you buy this machine. It filters chlorine, lead, rust, and heavy metals and odor. Okay? There's no filter equipment out there which can filter away fluoride. Fluoride, incidentally, is also carcinogenic. It's cancer causing. But this machine removes fluoride in the ionization process because fluoride is an acidic buffer. So the water that you get doesn't have fluoride also. Okay? It is the only machine in the market which can produce this 11.5 and 2.5, two extreme ends of acidic and alkaline water. None of the other machines out there can do that. Okay? It has got automated self-cleaning process and a proprietary deep cleaning process which makes sure that this machine will last you for about 20 years. How do we know? Because the oldest machine is more than 20 years and still running like it's new, brand new. Most machines out there can't do that. Okay? They give you a 5-year warranty on the SD501 and they tell you, company literature says 15 years life expectancy. But if you maintain it the way they are telling you to, there's not much of cost in maintaining it, it will last you about 20 years. Most equipment that you buy today will last you about 5 years. This machine will last you 15-20 years. The man in Robert G. Wright, in his book also states exactly that. He says, I only need this one machine and I'm sure it's going to outlast my own lifespan because of the quality of the water that it produces. How it does. It has got one of the best electrolytic chamber. That is the heart of the machine. the electrolytic chamber. Don't get fooled. A lot of people say this technology is the same. We are using mesh plates, and all those kind of things which says that they produce the same kind of water. The real truth is that water doesn't do the same thing as this water does. How do we know? There's another guy called Dr. Dave Carpenter who has written a report. Whoever brought you here, they can give you the report. It's also found all over the internet. Okay, that man in 1994 went from America to Japan to find out about all sorts of treatment, and he found about alkaline treatment. So he went back, very excited, back to America and wanted to introduce that to his patients. So he found whatever machine which claimed to do exactly the same thing and bought the machine and told his patients, you can come and collect this water and go. Nothing happened because nobody came back, nobody had any stories to tell. He did that from 1994 to 2003. He bought a total of 7 machines. Every time looking for that machine which will work like how it saw working in Japan, and giving the water away. And every time he bought it, nobody came back to collect the water. Until 2003, when Engic entered the USA market, somebody introduced him to it. As an 8th machine, he bought this machine. And he said this time he got into a bit of a trouble. Because now, 350 gallons of water was flying out of his clinic every day. Because people were coming back with phenomenal amounts of stories of how things were getting cured. So in the YouTube, you can find his clip where somebody asked him what's the difference. There are so many other machines out there, they're half the price, they're 1/3 the price. And he says you can do whatever evaluation you want to do, but this is what I know for a fact. Because the quality of this machine, nothing can beat it. It was first created as a medical device for Japanese hospitals. And then 20 years later, they decided to produce a domestic machine. So they never dropped that standard. If you want to know more details about the intricacies of it, I can tell you on another time. Okay, if you're interested in that. So today we'll leave it at that. So there's nothing out there which will compare with this. And nobody out there gives you a 5-year, some of them say lifetime warranty. Yeah? I have tested the machines. And it's a subject for another day. I can tell you about what actually happens. None of the water seems to be able to hold this thing called the ORP, the oxidative reduction potential, the negative ORP, for as long as you can. I tested a Korean brand machine initially when I took the water, it was minus 456 in reading. Within 20 minutes, it's dropped to 150. And my water that I brought to that house was 1.5 hours old, and I took it at minus 786 reading, and after 1.5 hours, it only dropped to minus 715. A drop of about 50 millivolts. Whereas the fresh water that I took from his machine, in 20 minutes dropped more than 200 millivolts. And if you think about it a bit further, you'll understand that it's important. How long the water retains a negative ORP is important because oxidative stress in you happens every second. Okay? So, that's how much I've got to say. I don't want to talk anything more. Just the last few slides on this. It is the only gold standard by Water Quality Association. You will see the certificate outside. This is the only machine that is given a gold standard by the Water Quality Association, which is an independent body which grades all this equipment in the US. It is approved as a medical device by Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare. That certificate is also out there. The only ionizer endorsed by the Japanese Association of Preventive Medicine for Adult Disease. This association has 6,500 qualified medical doctors as the members. And in every category of machine that they look for to help with this preventive medicine, they only endorse one machine. And in the water ionization category, this is the only machine that they endorse. Okay? Dr. Shinya, whom I showed you earlier, the colonoscopy surgeon, this is the only machine he recommends. American Anti-Cancer Institute, they also have the same statement. They say you can buy whatever machine you want to buy for their own use, for his own mother, he'll only buy this. Dr. Corinne Allen, the brain expert, also advocates only this. Thanks for Kangen, that's Dr. Dave Carpenter's report, a very extensive report on why this water works. He also says that's the only machine that I will buy. Okay? And then in the Truthful Ionizer Review, which is a website, they rate about 4 or 5 different categories of machine, and the top 3 position goes to all Engic's machines. Okay? That kind of like ends this presentation. Unless you guys want to hear testimony from people. Okay, if you all are interested, we can ask some people to give some testimony. Otherwise, before I end it, let me conclude the 2 stories that I told you all about earlier. Can you remember the stories that I told you? The guy that I told you about, Dr. Ko, talking about his friend who had cancer. 6 months after being diagnosed as being healthy. Sad news is, about 1 year later, he died of cancer. Because why? The doctors are treating symptoms. They are not treating the root cause. They could not identify 6 months earlier that he was prone for cancer. Now, understanding all of these things, you know why he was prone to cancer, because his body was probably a bit too acidic. My friend's mom, when he came to me on a Wednesday, this is what happened. Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, the doctor was saying, your mom is not responding to our treatment. We are very worried. They pushed her into a high dependency ward. They pumped her up with a lot of antibiotic. That caused her to be, all the stomach, appetite, everything was screwed. She was like in a very weakened state. So the brother came to see me, because remember I told you all, I sent out the email and Friday came to me. And I told him about how to try and treat that wound with strong acidic water and drinking alkaline water. And he checked with the wound specialist, and the wound specialist said, SGH protocol, you cannot have water touching the wound. Don't care what kind of water, but water cannot touch. So I said, okay, water cannot touch, but you can't stop her from drinking it. And I said, make your mom drink as much if you can, all the 5 liters. So he took it from me on Wednesday, gave the water to the sister to give it to the mom with an instruction that she should feed her as much as possible on a Thursday. On Friday morning, he called me up and said, Thiru, can I have more of this water? So I said, what happened? He said, now my mom was like almost sickly and not healing and stuff like that. She's now sitting up, eating food and talking to people. Okay, so the water must have made a difference, because that's the only thing that's different. So give me more. I live in Chinatown, so I brought another 10 liters and I gave it to them. That weekend, the sister stayed very dutifully in the hospital and fed the mom with a lot more water. The following Monday, when the doctor came back to check, their words was, your mom is responding very well to our treatment. You might look at getting her discharged by Friday. Okay? Think about this. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was, she's not responding, she's not responding, she's not responding. Wednesday, he takes the water. Thursday, he gave it to her. Friday, she was sitting up eating food. By the following Monday, they gave the prognosis that, oh, she's recovering very well, the treatment you can do back. Now, when I tell this to some people, they say, of course not, all the treatment started working and your water just came in and out. Take it, but he knows what it is and he was so convinced he bought the machine. Now his mom is doing quite well. Okay, but the leg is gone. That's what made me feel very sad, because I started feeling at that point in time that I found out about this machine in November of 2011. December I bought it. If I had been a bit more evangelistic at that point in time, maybe I could have saved my friend's mom's legs. That's what always eats me up in a way. That's why I started becoming a bit more evangelical about this, the way I push it. Because his mom just got the leg operated 1 week before I sent out this email. You know, that always will keep, but of course, you know, you got to live with that. But my point is this, if you have this machine, there's a lot of good that you can do, not only just to your family, but to people around you. But first you need to understand this, which is why these seminars are a bit long. Because this machine cannot be sold in a supermarket. Cannot be sold on a Best Denki shop or something like that, because it cannot sell by itself. Because on the surface, you don't understand what goes inside, and everybody says, oh, mine is better, mine is cheaper and all that. They are cheaper because they're cheaper, they're lousy. Okay? You need to understand all of this thing. And I hope I've done justice to your time. Yeah? I hope that you have benefited from this. At least as I said from the beginning, if by the end of today you go away knowing about the 3 basic root causes of disease, of degenerative disease, and if this information allows you to make some changes to your life, to your lifestyle, and allows you to affect people around you, I think my job is done.
Yes.
Right? And I hope it has been fruitful.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Thank you.
I've got only this thing to end off with. One last thing, okay? In the world, there are always 3 different types of people. Before you came here, you didn't know much of it. Just like up in November of 2011, I didn't know about it. But because my mind was open, I took in the information, I did my own research, and I'm the kind who need to experience for myself. Maybe you are like that, I don't know. There are 3 different types. The first group, I like to call them the C type of people, who, no matter what you tell them, no matter how good the information, they will never believe it. They will choose not to believe. They will say it's too good to be true, therefore it cannot be true, and I'm not going to do anything about it. It's all bullshit. That's fine. If you are like that, well, it's your choice. The second group of people, the type B, the kind of people who will say, yes, everything looks good, I'm kind of like convinced, but I need to experience it for myself. I need to feel it for myself, because unless I'm convinced I cannot do it, so I need to test it out, I need to try it out. Good. Take some action. You've got the information, The person who brought you here will be willing to give you the water. You can collect the water from here, but do something about it. But when you decide to do it with volition. Do it with strong and serious intent. Because if you do it half-heartedly, you may not get the right results. And because of you, you may end up affecting other people the wrong way. So if you decide to do it, drink this water on a regular basis. The water that you take, after 3-4 days, the efficacy will drop. This machine is good. It's one of the best in the market. The efficacy will last for 3 days. But you can't keep it for 2 weeks and expect it to have the same results. It's still better than the normal water, but the antioxidant property will drop very fast within 3 days. So my choice to you is take it, drink 3 liters, drink 5 liters, see the effect for yourself, and you will know if you are the type 2 people. And the type A people are the kind of people who will see it, who listen to this thing, who know what it's all about, and they want to know further. They will go and say, look, I'm getting it, that's it. I don't know which type you are. Whichever type you are, it's who you are. But my only hope is that in this presentation, you have found out a bit more and you are motivated to do something about it. And in that process, change your life and change the lives of the people around you. Because this information changed mine. That's why I'm here. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to hear testimony?
I just want to ask you,
Yeah.
you talked about the medicine, when you take medicine,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be drinking and
Mm.
water. So what's the time, like?
General advice, okay, first thing first. Generally, whenever you eat food, any food, right? For half an hour after eating food, don't drink water. Whether this water or any water. Simply because you are now diluting your hydrochloric acid, your acids in your stomach and interfering with the digestive process. So as a rule, after eating food, don't drink water for at least about half an hour to 1 hour. When it comes to medicine, taking medicine with this, generally about half an hour before taking medicine, you stop drinking this water. When you consume the medicine, don't take it with this water. And about 1 hour later, half an hour to 1 hour later, then you can continue drinking this water.